You're listening to The Business Focused Photographer. If you're ready to transform your photography business into a thriving career, you're in the right place. Each week, we'll discuss fun and innovative ways to boost your creativity and income. Sound good? Let's go. Hey, welcome back to the podcast, and welcome back to the podcast, Becca. Becca is an incredible photographer. If you don't already know, I'm sure you do. Becca is an adventure family photographer. She is based in Portland. She's also a videographer. And the way that you know her, though, is that she's an educator in our community. She speaks at a lot of conferences. She's, well, I don't need to tell you. She's known for her video, but she also teaches a lot about lifestyle posing and all sorts of things. But welcome back to the podcast. Thank you for coming back, Becca. Today we're going to talk about how you built this amazing business of yours.
Thanks, Jill. Yeah, I'm excited. We'll chat.
We'll chat. Yeah. So the last time you were on, you gave a little bit of a cliff notes of your, life before photography and everything like that. But so let's start at that moment in your life where you were just completely pivoting into both feet into this photography business. What did that look like? What triggered that? What propelled you? And how long did it take, honestly?
Well, it started out actually really slow. There wasn't like a big oh, I'm going to do this. It was kind of like I was taking photos of my kids and posting those online, and people were always commenting saying, "Oh my gosh, your photos are so good." I feel like this is everybody's story.
Yeah.
But I just started doing photo shoots for friends and friends of friends. And then it kind of grew from there. And, I liked it. I thought it was really fun, but I wasn't super obsessed with it for a number of years. I was just kind of doing it for the heck of it, a little bit of extra cash. But then I discovered lifestyle posing. And when I realized that that was actually a thing and I didn't have to sit there and try and pose everybody perfectly smiling at the camera, I just really fell in love with it. And that's when, because I loved it so much, I was working really hard at making it happen. And then that's when it kind of blew up and got really big.
Yeah. So because I can relate to this discovery of lifestyle posing being a thing and not having to be a type A poser and everything like that. What year about was that? Just trying for perspective.
I'm pretty sure. So I did my first family session or my first paid session in 2010. So it was probably I want to say 2015 that I actually discovered lifestyle posing and started getting serious. I was doing mini sessions before that, basically. Nobody was ever booking me for a full session because I was doing mini sessions all the time.
Right.
And then, yeah, finally 2015, I think it was.
So it took you 5 years, which
Yeah.
I feel like for many newer photographers might feel like an eternity. It took me a long time too. You have to shoot a lot and you have to work with a lot of people and learn more about what else is out there. And luckily for you, luckily for me, lifestyle photography was somewhat novel
Yeah,
back when we started.
it
And
was.
so it was easier to stand out. Now it just feels like every
Everybody's doing it.
everybody's doing it. So during those early days, how are you getting clients?
With lifestyle photography, once I was into that,
Yeah.
I was really just putting myself out there and talking about it a lot, but also that's around the time when I started working really hard on my SEO. Not exactly then, but maybe the next couple of years after that. Um, and that made a really big difference for me, for people finding me. And, I was also working on my Instagram, but that was a lot slower growth than SEO was, for sure. But I also think that back then there wasn't really any education on it, or barely any. And so our growth was slower because there wasn't the information out there. People are growing so much faster now because there's so much info for them
Mm.
to learn, where we
Yeah.
didn't have that.
We didn't, and not to walk up and down the hill both ways in the snow to school, but like that it was harder in that sense, the lack of education. What was easier, for me at least, and probably for you, was that social media was actually a viable tool to reach people and to be seen. And, it felt like, at least if I put something on Facebook, for instance, and in 2012 or 2014, it's really when the ball was rolling for me. Everybody saw it. Like,
That's
everybody saw it. It was,
also true. Yeah.
and it was commonplace to then like have interactions with people and make connections there on social media. Um, and and I think it also didn't hurt that I was pretty inexpensive. And were you pretty inexpensive at first too?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure my first paid session was like $50.
Yay, me too. And I felt like it was highway robbery because it was
Uh-huh.
like $50 for an hour of work, like where I had been making 22.50, before that.
Mhm.
So it was like, this is incredible. And yes, it was a different landscape for sure. And the barrier to entry in many ways has gotten lower. Technology inherently gets cheaper, so it's less expensive to invest in the stuff that you'd need now to start the business, which I think is great. I think honestly, what's what's gotten easier, the fact that it's gotten easier to kind of get where it took us 5 years to get, now it takes somebody about a year or two. I think that's just raising the whole tide, where
Mhm.
now the standard is getting higher, and it means we all have to work a little bit harder. But I think that's a good thing, for at least for the clients, right?
Yeah.
So when you say you were just, like, putting yourself out there, was that just on social media, or were you doing other things to get in front of people?
Yeah, I think a lot of it had to do with Facebook, where that information is not very useful now because Facebook is horrible and nobody sees anything that I post on my business page. But back then, people were seeing it.
Yeah.
So that made a big difference. But also, a lot of my beginning clients were friends or friends of friends or family or whatever. I also, um, so I moved here to Oregon basically right when I started doing photography. So when I got here, I didn't know anybody and, I had 2 young kids and I wanted someone to hang out with, so I joined a meetup group full of moms. So I made tons of mom friends in the area. We would hang out all the time. And I didn't do that for business purposes at all. I did that for my own mental health. But because of that, I had a lot of mom friends. So when I would put out mini sessions, a lot of them would book and then they would tell their friends. So I think that made a big difference at the time. So yeah, it was a lot of word of mouth and also Facebook, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. But those things kind of stuck too. Do you still have a lot of those same clients that you made back then?
Absolutely not. Those people wanted mini sessions for $60. And once I started raising my prices significantly, I did not retain any of those people because a $60 mini session client is not paying over $1,000 for a full session. So, yeah,
Right. Right.
definitely
And
had to
that's if
start
you
over.
got a sale.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I can relate to this. How How did you handle that? Because I know that this is hard for photographers when they have to raise their prices. What you just described is exactly what everybody is afraid of happening. How did you, like, emotionally handle that and reconcile it and be able to move forward without knowing that you're not going to be able to book these people anymore, or that that relationship or that part of your relationship was broken?
I most of the time didn't raise my prices too like, significantly at a time, so some people would stay, for one price raise, but then the next time I raised it, I would lose people from the previous time, so it I wasn't losing everybody all at once most of the time. There were times where I did a large jump, but that's because I already had my SEO working really well, and I knew that more people were going to find me, so whenever I did do a larger jump, it was at a time when I felt comfortable doing that and I knew that people were gonna find me.
Right. And your life before photography was in graphic design?
I went to school for graphic design, web design, illustration, and photography altogether. I really wanted to be a web designer. That was like my plan. And then I ended up not doing that at all. Although that information is still helpful for my own personal business.
I
But
would say
yeah, I
so.
didn't do it.
So you do your own website and everything like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, your website's really nice. I forgot about the graphic design piece and was just on it, and it's so good. So that's
Thank
it's
you.
I love, seeing how people's past or original careers continue to lend themselves to building a photography business, and there's almost always, like, I guess it makes us kinda like a Swiss Army knife where there's so many different, things that we need to do well. Um, so so now you are an adventure photographer, videographer, and from my what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, what this means is that your, core offer requires or entails meeting up at some epic location. Sometimes there's a little bit of a walk involved, sometimes there's not, but it's the location itself plays a big role, right, in the work
Mhm.
that you're producing, and, and that is like a subtype of lifestyle photography. So you're able to differentiate yourself, even if what's feeling like a crowded market. Pacific Northwest feels like there's a lot of lifestyle photographers. I don't know if it's just
Yes,
'cause I know a bunch.
there are, and most of them are my friends. So yay.
Yeah, yeah. So, but you've able, but and like living proof right here is that you can still be highly profitable. Are you still making the bulk of your income through your photography business?
Yes, I make probably 70% from photography, and then the rest is education.
Right? Hey,
Maybe
that's nice.
65. I don't know.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
But you're killing it. You're not having a hard time, with this business despite there being lots of quote unquote competition. Do you think a lot of that is because you are an adventure lifestyle photographer, or do you think there's other things that are setting you apart in your market?
Yeah, I definitely think that one thing that sets me apart is price as well, because I charge for the most part, I charge a lot more than most of the photographers in my area. So, not and, like, there's just, like, a different type of person who's looking for a photographer who's charging 14.50 for a session. So, even if somebody might pay less, if they're looking at me and they're thinking, actually, I really do want somebody who is gonna be an expert and who's gonna really know what they're doing and gonna deliver these types of images, like, yeah, they could go to somebody who charges half of what I charge and still get beautiful images, but feel like they're more confident in booking me because of my prices, if that makes sense, because I am charging so much.
There is, and I think regardless of if you are that type of photography client or not, anybody as a consumer has encountered some sort of purchase that they were making where the price did not align with the value that they were hoping to get. And that's really what it is like there's probably a science to it where like you can be a certain percentage lower or higher. There's probably some wiggle room there. Um, but you don't want people to look at what you're putting out there and the marketing and then have it not align with the number that you've assigned to it.
Mhm.
Um, because then you have a concerned consumer that they're, "Wait, what's something's missing here. Why is this so cheap?" I do it all the
Right.
time, you know? There's
Mhm.
definitely things that I've skipped over buying because they seem too inexpensive.
Oh, for
Um,
sure.
yeah. So
You're like,
I
"Oh,
love
this dress is cute, but, like, why is it only $30?"
mm,
It's probably gonna be really bad fabric.
right. Exactly. Right, because it's a good reminder that people, even, the lay person who's not in our industry as, like, up close and, involved in all of the different things that we know goes into a good session. they still understand that they are paying for an experience, and where they might look at your portfolio and be wowed. If you're priced too low, they're probably going to assume that something is not gonna be good. It's gonna be either sloppy up front, it's going to be maybe you don't have a good personality, and, like, there's gonna be a lot of concern, so thank you for saying that, your prices are what's setting you apart in a good way, your higher prices, 'cause I don't think anybody realizes that that's a thing.
It definitely is.
Yeah, yeah,
And I
and
and I also like I get a lot of people who come from out of town. So if they are looking for a photographer while they're on vacation or something like that, and they're seeing, this person over here has $200 mini sessions, this person over here has a $600 session, but then they see mine and it's like, oh, it's 1450. Like that's double what this other person's charging, but look at all the things that they provide. You've got a client closet, you've got a location guide. This person looks like they know what they're doing. They understand how to work with children. So then all of a sudden the value of mine goes up and they're okay with paying that price.
that's right. Yeah, and the client closet for those who are from out of town, what a yeah,
Yeah, it's really helpful. And my
you're
client closet is stupid huge. It's
you're a
not
great
like, "Oh, here's a
reminder.
couple dresses."
No, and they're not my client closet is mostly Baltic born, which is okay, but they're still, like, 60 to $150 dresses. They're not, like but you have what's that brand? Reformation? Reclamation? I can never remember.
Reclamation, and then I also have Zebu BU. Those are both,
Yeah,
like, the same type of dresses where
yeah,
they fit a lot of sizes. When
yeah,
I first started my client closet, I was getting ones that would only fit, like, one size, like, here's a small, here's a medium.
right,
But then I realized if pay a little bit more, I can get a dress that fits, like, small all the way up to extra large in one person, and then you also have a better chance of that dress fitting this random person who's coming along booking you, because you don't
right.
know.
Right. Hey, talk a little bit quick about how the logistics of how just for my own curiosity, of how you run your client closet. Are you bringing the dresses to the session? You have a part of your website where people can browse what you have. What happens if the dress gets damaged? All that.
Yeah, okay, so I have all of the outfits and dresses and whatever on Pinterest, and I have a Pinterest board that also has, like, different boards within the client closet board because you can put it into, like, folders.
Okay.
So I have it based on size and based on age if it's for kids. So it's huge. But I figured that was the easiest way to organize it. At first, I thought, oh, yeah, I'll photograph every single piece and put it on my website. No, that's way too much work. This is not
It
going to
is.
happen.
Yeah.
So I ditched that idea and I was like, I'll just pin it from the manufacturer's website. I don't have to worry about making any of the photos. Like, done. So I do that. And then it kind of depends on the person. If they're local, we can do a try-on appointment, so then they can see if they like the fit of it and, I'll bring a bunch of dresses for them to try it on. But if they're from out of town, then we can't do that. So I usually just have them choose like, 3 dresses that they like, so then I can bring them to the session. They can try them on there and then make a decision based on which one they like the best. But it also really helps that I have the dresses that fit multiple sizes that are really stretchy. So then, for the most part, it's probably going to fit.
Right. Yeah. I should be more proactive with my client closet because it's starting to feel like a burden. I keep them at my studio and
Oh,
it's like the the rack that is, like, bolted into the wall to hold them up is, like, falling out of the studs because it's getting so heavy. Um, that
wait, you asked one more question. It
yeah, yeah, yeah.
was, what happens if they get damaged?
Yes,
And
yes.
I literally don't worry about it. I'm like, "Okay, if this dress gets messed up, but we got a gorgeous shot, I feel like it's worth it to me." So I don't worry about it, and I don't put any worry onto the client. I let them know, like, "If you get dirty, I'm gonna wash it, like, whatever. Just don't even worry about it, just have fun." Because if they're worrying about it, then that's gonna show in the photos as well. I'm all about everybody feeling comfortable and chill.
Right. So, and that is such a big part of your brand, your because I've watched your behind the scenes and you are so comfortable or you are so warm and calm and relaxed and you do a great job of making people feel comfortable. This is a skill, do you think that you came into the business with or something that you recognize was really important and you've worked to develop?
I think it's a mix of both. So, just my personality in general is just really laid back and chill, and I look on the bright side of situations. I don't get stressed super easily. So, that definitely helps, but at the same time, I didn't always put forth the all the correct vibes during my photo shoots when I first started. Like, I didn't really understand what lifestyle was, so, I wasn't really doing it that way. I was just like, "Here, stand here, do this, whatever."
Just waiting for it to happen, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but, yeah, now, I've learned a lot of things to make a session feel more relaxed, so it's a mixture of both.
Yeah. Because I think that's probably one of the things that's made you so successful, even if your clients don't realize that's why they keep coming back to you. It's because the way you feel and the way your photographer makes you feel when is everything. And doesn't really matter how great the photos look if looking at those photos that like you were stressed and the photographer was making you feel weird and your husband was hating it and everything like that. So
Yeah,
it is
exactly.
yeah, yeah, and when you are teaching other photographers, is this client experience piece something that you feel like you share a lot about?
Yeah, I do. Um, I, I mean, I have a lot of different, like, courses and things that kind of talk about that. Um, I have my playful prompt playbook, which is like the prompts, but also video clips to go along with each prompt so you can see how it works and stuff like that. So when somebody goes to buy that, there's an add-on that will come up after you purchase. That's like this is like the only way you can get this thing. Um, but it's like a video class that really talks about prepping the clients and like the reason behind why we're prepping clients this way and how you can talk to them and prep them so then they're actually going to be relaxed and ready to have a fun session rather than like them just showing up with absolutely no idea how this all works and then you're trying to get them to interact naturally, and they're not doing it, and they're just standing there looking at you, and you're like, "Why isn't this working?"
Yeah. So what sort of software are you using for this level of client communication?
I use 17 Hats for all of my email communication with my clients, that's my CRM, it's amazing, it's the best.
Nice. Yeah, and so you have, like, automated stuff that goes out to make sure everybody's getting the same information leading up?
Yes, definitely, I have workflows for all my different types of people that I work with, and they all get, a series of emails to get them prepped for their session.
Yeah, I've heard you talk about 17 hats. It always makes me curious. Um, how long did it take you though running a business to realize that you needed a CRM or software or tools to help you with managing everything?
Yeah, I did not have one for quite a while, and I was just using a piece of paper, and I was just making a little graph and writing people's names in there and and trying to, like, keep organized. And, that works fine when you don't have very many clients, like, you only
Sure.
have a couple, a few a month, something like that. That's not too much to manage, but yeah, once you start getting into, like, 5 or more people a month, it's a lot to keep track of for sure.
Yeah, especially the nature of booking for a photographer can be full of surges.
Yeah.
And where it's like you might have time to for your piece of paper method in January, but come September and October, you really need to be using some sort of robot to help you
Yeah.
think and remember.
Yeah. But when
Yeah.
you're first starting out, you don't really have the money for that, so you're like, "Well, this is the way that it's gonna have to work."
Well, exactly. And I think it's like CRMs, all of it's wonderful and great, but you can run an extremely lean business like with your notebook and a paper planner and everything like that. Um,
Mhm.
because you have more time when you start. You just do. You're not working as much.
It's very true.
Yeah.
And then, I actually did not just go right from, like, the piece of paper directly to a CRM.
Okay.
I got, Shootproof, and
Mhm.
that's, it's a gallery service, but they also had invoices and contracts. So, I did that for a while where I would just use the invoices and contracts with Shootproof, but then there's still not any kind of automated messages that are going out to your clients. So, that worked for a while, but I was still using the piece of paper to keep track of stuff
Right.
because you didn't have the system. So that did kind of help for a while, but then yeah, eventually I had to move over, get 17 hats.
Yeah. And I have done similar things too, where like Calendly did had some CRM capabilities of when somebody books, you can set out a sequence of automations, be it texts or emails, to go out to you and the client to say like after 7 days after they book, they get the style guide, and 2 days
Mhm.
later they get an email at starting to talk about location, like things like that, which was great. But yeah, then you get like, but I also need a contract. I also need invoicing. And when you can
Yeah,
find a system that does it all in a way that is intuitive for you, go with
it's
it.
so nice.
It is. It is so nice. And I'm like, ugh, I'm always like bouncing around between CRMs, and right now I'm forcing myself to stick with HoneyBook for a year. I'm just gonna like I have to just try it for a full year. The feature that I just that lured me back to them though is they were not really forthright about how available it's not available to everybody. So
Mhm.
it's this and this is a complete sidebar, but it's a I've been obsessed with it because I really wanted to try it. Lydia Fine told me about it, where all the money that you bring in, you can automatically designate a certain amount to go to a different account. So for like taxes, for
Oh, yeah.
expenses, and like it negated the need for me to be paying $3,600 a year for a bookkeeper.
Mhm.
So I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna go for it. And then they're like, yeah, sorry, you can't have that. That's only for some people. I'm like, well, what some people? And they're like,
You're
we
like,
can't
"Can
tell
I
you.
be that person?"
They won't tell anybody what they how they're, qualifying people for this, like
What?
yeah,
That's very weird.
it is very weird, but anyway, so I'm always, like, in CRM limbo. I've never tried 17 hats, though, so maybe one day.
I mean, it's the best, I will say, but
A lot of people like it, and well, so at what point did you start to see your income get to a place that was really impressive to you? Were you very intentional about like, okay, and this is how much money I need to start making by this date so that I don't have to go back to XYZ?
yeah. So, I had this goal of quitting my other job. I was working at an elementary school as a reading assistant, and I had put a goal to be able to quit at the end of the school year in 2020. So, when school was out for summer in 2020, I was gonna quit if I had could see that my spring was still doing as well as I expected it to. Because the previous year I had done well, but I wanted to make sure. Of course, that didn't happen because we couldn't even work in the spring. And then, I couldn't quit, which was so, so sad. I was, like,
Yeah.
crying.
Yeah.
I did not wanna stay at my job. So, I ended up having to stay at my job for another, like, 2 years. Yeah, I quit in 2022. Um, yeah,
My
I was
goodness.
so frustrated, but,
Damn pandemic.
yeah, kinda messed me up. I was on track. But, I also got to be paid to not do any work for the rest of that year, so, that's
Right.
nice.
Right. Yeah, that's right. It wasn't just an abrupt return to normalcy. And especially, I think you guys were you probably had safer practices than a lot of other states, and so maybe
Yep, maybe.
yeah.
Yeah, we didn't go back to school that school year at all, so I just got paid to sit at home, and I was like, "You guys don't need me to do anything?" And they were like, "No, we don't have anything for the assistants to do, but you're still getting your paycheck." "Okay."
So what'd you do with your time as a photographer, like, on the photography front?
Yeah, well, that was around the time that I decided to start educating. I mean, I had dabbled in it in 2019. I had started selling my presets, and that was, like, the first bit that I did. So in 2020, when all of that happened, I found, what was that app called that everybody was talking like, you would talk out loud on it? Dang it, I'm gonna forget the name of it.
An app you would talk out loud on?
Clubhouse.
Oh, yes, talk I'm thinking
I
like
explained that horribly.
ChatGPT.
So I found Clubhouse, that was
Yeah.
when it got really
Yeah, yeah,
popular
yeah.
because we were all sitting at home, we
Right.
couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
And so I started making rooms, and I was helping people and educating people that way, and it gave me that confidence, like, "Oh, yeah, people actually care what I have to say. This is awesome." And I actually got a lot of people from Clubhouse go over to Instagram and follow me, and so that's kind of how I started building up that base of photographers who are interested in getting education from me, and so that's pretty much what I did that like, during that time when we couldn't take any photos, I was just building up the education side of my business.
Wow. But it's such a different in many respects, business is business. Building a business is building a business regardless of industry. But it is very different to build an education business than it is to build a photography business. Do you feel like your foundation in Clubhouse, the presets, but even then starting to sell presets was probably its own feat. What do you think um, got you the foundation and the base of photographers to the scale that have been able to get it to?
I think that made a big difference for sure. I was already starting to gain some followers, and I don't remember exactly when I made my email list, but it was somewhere right around then. And so I was getting people onto the email list as well. So all of that helped. So I built that kind of slowly too, where, I just started out with little guides and different things in my shop that were like $50 or less. And I built up my shop with those little items first, and then once I had that, I decided to start making a course, and yeah,
What was
kinda
the
went
first
from there.
course that you made?
My location scouting course was the first one.
It's a
Yeah.
good That's good information. It's like, yeah, that is an art in itself, location scouting, right? Uh, so can we backtrack a little bit to maybe like 2017, 2018? You're starting to dip your toes into the B2B space as a photographer, getting paid by other photographers just for presets at first. Like, so do you remember your thought process that made you think, okay, I have this successful portrait business now. Let me see about working with these guys too.
Yeah, I had seen that other people were, doing education and they were selling their presets and things like that, and I decided I was gonna sell a preset because I loved my editing, but also I didn't actually have a preset to sell, but I decided that I was going to make one. So I was using a different preset that I had like adapted to
Right.
what I wanted, but I didn't feel like it was quite right. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna start all over and I'm gonna make a preset. So, and like I'm pretty proficient in editing and Lightroom and all that. I know what all the sliders do. So it's not like this was going to be super difficult, but at the same time it was. So I made the first preset, the first try that I did. I tried it and I was like, I hate this. This is disgusting. So then I scrapped that whole thing and I started over again. And like somehow something was just so perfect. Like I did it and it ended up being the most beautiful preset ever in my eyes anyway, and that is the preset that I have been using ever since I made it in 2019. I'm obsessed with it. I don't use anything else. And actually, so I sell my presets, but within that preset, pack, it's they're all pretty similar, but you can each one kind of adapts to different lighting. So, if you want like a more darker and moody version of this preset, then you can click that one. Or if you want like a lighter, more I don't know, less contrasty version. So they're all pretty similar, but you just pick whatever. But the number 2 preset in there, which is called Punchy, that's the one. That's the one I use on everything. I don't use anything else. That's the one.
No kidding. So
Yeah.
you're not working inside of homes or Fresh 48s, or you're really just
No, I
working during
do.
golden hour? You do?
No, I do in-home also, and I also use that preset in-home, and I'm obsessed with it.
Wow, that's really interesting,
Yeah.
and you just reminded me of really exciting thing that I saw recently, that you have a profile now with Imagine.
Yeah. Yeah, and so it's basically that exact preset that I like to use. But
Congratulations.
it adapts for the it what I love about it is that it will adapt all of your white balance and your exposure so then everything is consistent and you don't have to go in and manually do all of that. So it's just super quick.
Really?
Yeah. That's what I love about Imagine is that it will just do all that for you.
That is, yeah, it's gonna be so impressive. So your style, your shooting style is, it as you said, punchy. You are, your colors are true to life. There's nothing fantastical about your edits that are far-fetched, but they are contrasty and colorful and bold, and, you juxtapose colors a lot to get a lot of really, dynamic out of there. How do you think back on your editing style and your shooting style and how it's evolved and what also has stayed the same?
Yeah, so I mean, when I first started, we were all just doing everything to our photos. Like one gallery had like 20 different
Yeah,
presets.
yeah,
You're like, why did
we
I do
were.
that?
Yes, we were.
But once I actually dialed in a specific style.
Yeah.
At first, what was cool was for everything to be really what is the word? Matte. Yeah, so everything was all matte,
So you
and
had a matte
so that
face.
yeah, I definitely had
Okay.
a matte face, and so that was cool for a while, but then, I kinda phased out of that, and then I started using the small presets, which I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure, like, everybody and their
Yes.
mom has used the small presets.
They're really good.
They are, and I was using those for a long time, and I was happy with them, but after a while, I started just feeling like the skin tones were kinda muddy, and I didn't like that, and I couldn't figure out how to fix that with their presets. So then I got another preset, which I can't remember what it was, and that one was pretty good, but there was something about it that I didn't like, and so then I was, like, adapting that, and that's the preset that I was using before I made my own, and then yeah, then I kinda figured it out.
Yeah. Did you ever go through the desaturated greens phase?
Yeah, so that's what that one was. It was too desaturated, and it was driving me nuts, and so then I would try and fix it so then I could bring the saturation back, but I just wasn't connecting with it after a while. I was over it, so yeah.
It can be so hard to undo everything that's been done sometimes when you've, like, over edited and you just have to, like, scrap it and start over.
Yeah.
But you also shoot video, which
Mhm,
is a different animal, as I've learned from you, especially when it comes to editing. It's
mhm.
editing a JPEG, but worse. It's so
Yes.
hard.
Yeah.
Um, and I we assuming anybody who listens to this episode has also listened to your video episode, we won't go too much into the weeds with that, but can you talk about where in your career as a photographer you decided to start adding on video, and maybe what your motivation was to do that?
Yeah. I had thought about adding video on for a really long time, and I had taken some courses, and I thought like, "Oh, this would be so cool," but it was still too intimidating to me to actually try it. And a big part of it was the editing because I was like, "Okay, yeah, I could shoot the video, but like, what do I do with it after?" And I had watched some different classes on it, but it still just seemed too difficult, like they made it too hard for some reason, I don't know. So, I finally was like, "You know what? I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna just try it." So I went on a family vacation a few summers ago and I just brought my camera and I said, "I'm just gonna record our vacation and then I'll put it together and we'll see how it goes." So I did that and it was the cutest thing ever and I loved it so much. I was like, "Yeah, okay. Now that I've done it once, I feel like I can do this now." So I just did a few videos for like clients who were already booked so I could just test it out. And then once I did that a few times, I did some model calls specifically so I could get video footage, but I was still doing photos at the same time. And yeah, just from there, I just decided to add it on to my business, and I was obsessed with it. Like, photos are awesome. I love them,
Right.
obviously, but
Right.
a video you can just find the whole story. It's more of like the way that I do it is more of like a moving picture.
Hmm.
So I do it in a lot of slow motion and there's just a lot of feeling that you feel behind it when you watch it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going for.
Yeah, your films definitely scratch the same itch that your photos do, where as far as like you're tickling the same emotions
Mhm,
with your films, but on a deeper level and maybe a little slightly different spot. And yeah, it is another way that you have set yourself apart as a lifestyle photographer in a seemingly saturated market.
mhm.
Um, this has been also so enlightening and interesting to me. Even though I know you pretty well, it's still I learned a lot about everything that you did. Um, are you ready for the lightning round of easy questions?
I am.
Okay. Ready? Email marketing or social media?
Email marketing.
EM or DM? EM. Email or DM for the first contact?
From a client,
Yes.
then I would say email.
Yeah, the good ones come in through email, don't they? All right, I well, actually, I don't feel like I know this one now. For editing, outsource AI or all you?
It's a mix. I can't even choose because if I'm really busy, I outsource to my editor, and when it's slower, then I will use Imagine and then finish it up myself.
Okay,
So
so
both.
all the above. All the above.
Yeah,
The best money you've spent in your business,
education.
the worst money you've spent in your business.
God, that's such a hard one. Um, okay, this is stupid, but, client closet.
Your
I
client closet?
love I love having it, but I have bought so many dresses, like, in the beginning that, like, I'm not gonna put on people now, and especially they only fit one specific size, one person, and so they're not very useful to me.
Right.
So I've spent a lot of money on it, so yeah.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I've donated a lot of my client closet over the years.
Yeah,
Um, in-person sales or all digital?
digital.
What's one system you refuse to run your business without?
17 hats.
Of course. What is a trend that you skipped on purpose?
Hmm. Let's go with the blurry photos. I like intentional blur.
Intentional
Yeah.
blur. Yeah. For
I
me,
they look cool for some people, they're just not my vibe.
no, it wouldn't make sense. For me, the one that like has been, and I try to just not care late, but I'm like, how are you going to have such a crooked horizon?
But yeah, that too.
Long,
No, I won't do that.
but to each his own. To each his own. People are buying it, so I
Exactly.
can't hate.
But
Okay,
sometimes I think it looks really cool. I can't do it.
just wait. It's like the thing. If I'm going to do anything to a photo, I'm going to straighten that out.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like this is something we talked about, but it'd be good to hear you distill it. What's something you do differently than most photographers in your market?
Probably that I market myself as an adventure photographer, and it doesn't mean that we have to go on, like, a million-mile hike or anything, it's like, 10-minute walk, but just calling it that because it's the elements that are present at the location, there's something adventure-y for them to do.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's probably really alluring to the right people, and those are the people who are gonna be like, 1450, you got it. And what's a piece of advice that you are the most tired of hearing in our industry?
Um, charge your worth.
I don't like that one either,
Yeah.
but elaborate.
Well, because what it's you're not supposed to charge your worth, because what is it that you are worth? Like, nobody knows. That's like a vague statement,
Mhm.
but it's more charge what you need to charge in order to be profitable.
But that's not as catchy, so
Yeah, no, it's not. And when people say charge your worth, that's what they mean. It's just
yes, charge your cost of doing business plus
Yeah.
your income goals,
Yes.
and with strategy, and make sure your offer suites were refined and everything like that. Yeah, well, you
Yeah.
need a paragraph for those shirts. Um, now, looking back on your career, what would you what sort of advice would you offer, if you can reflect on some of your wins, some of the most important decisions that you made, some mistakes that you made? What what would you like to take from that and offer up to the listening audience to help them be you when they grow up? Creepy as that sounds.
Let's see. Yeah, no, not creepy at all. So let's see. I feel like when I first started, I didn't have the confidence in my own work to be able to charge the prices that I needed to charge in order to be profitable because I just kind of like randomly started without having any clue what I was doing. So I think if I were to go back and start all over again, I would do a bunch of model calls with people that I didn't know at all first until I got really comfortable directing and dealing with a light and all of that before I started charging. Because if you come into the market feeling super confident about your abilities, about the way that you use light and the way that you create a good experience for your clients, then you can come in and actually charge those higher prices to start with. So then you don't have to start so small and gradually move up and then lose out on all those old people that you used to work with when you were charging
Mhm.
nothing and have to continually start over with clients. So I guess that's my advice.
That's really good advice, and I'm gonna co-sign on that because I think that I I don't necessarily regret being cheap at any point because everything that I did lead me to where I am, albeit it took me a really long time, longer than I think it needed to take me.
Yeah.
But I think moving into it with like if a 40-year-old me started this business, I would do exactly that. I would not do anything for cheap. I would only do things for free for the right people in the way that I wanted to do it, and then go from yes, and then enter the market a little bit actually like seasoned, with a beautiful portfolio to show for it. Great advice, Becca.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not very useful advice for anybody who's already been doing this for years, but, if somebody new is listening.
Well, listen, there's it, and it doesn't mean that you have to like, if you are in the stage of business where you're charging $175, this might be the sign to choose to switch it up a little bit and be a little bit more intentional. And yeah, because while you can build your portfolio doing the $50 shoots, there is an emotional and like mind like a mind fuck that happens when you lose these clients because you have to raise your prices, and there's really no way around that. There's like no you can't avoid that happening when you have to raise your prices from 50 to eventually over $1,000. That's
Mhm.
just the nature of things, but it can hurt your ego, and then that can ripple out in a negative way into the rest of your business. Oh, oh, one of us is
Sorry,
frozen. Maybe we're both frozen.
yeah.
I'm
Okay.
frozen too. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, you are.
Okay.
Okay, I think it's coming back.
Okay. But yeah, that hit to your ego can negatively affect your business there. So if you can avoid that and just yeah, I think that's great advice.
Yeah, you're gonna have to put the explicit sign on
I
this
always
episode
do.
now.
And it's always me. I always do, and it's always me. And what can I say? I'm like the Dr. Dre of photography podcasters. It's like
Okay, I say bad words all the time, but I don't ever I typically don't put it out there publicly only because, like, I would be afraid that my mom is listening, but
my dad is definitely listening. However, I this is I have no alternative like persona. My parents get the same version of me that my friends get. It's terrible for everybody. It's a lose-lose for everybody in my circle.
No, that's a win-win.
It's easy for me. It's hard for them. So you're gonna be speaking in January, but
Yes.
you're doing a demonstration?
Yeah, it's about video, and I'm gonna demo, like, going back and forth between photo and video.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Did you find your model family yet?
I'm working on it. I'm talking to a few people, so we'll see, what happens. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I found, a mom and a daughter to be my model family for that.
I'm excited. I'm looking forward to
Yeah.
seeing you, Becca. I appreciate that you took the time in this time of year, whether or not your business is making you busy. The holidays make everybody kind of busy and crazy. So I really appreciate it. And I can't wait to see you in January.
Yay. Yeah, me too. I'm so excited.
Yeah. All right. Well, take care. Have a happy Christmas, happy New Year, everything good, and see you soon.
Thanks. You too.
Bye.
Bye.
So until next time, keep shooting, keep creating, and keep building the business that supports your dreams. Have a fantastic week. And remember, in the business of photography, your creativity is your biggest asset.